Hello, I'm Pamela Davis. Welcome to episode 101 of the Well Done Life podcast. Hello, and welcome back to episode 101 of the Well Done Life podcast. I'm your host, Pamela Davis. If you are new here, hey, how are you? Welcome. I am so glad that you could join us this week. If you've been here before, you guys know the deal. I love you so much. Love you deep. Thank you for coming back. I hope that you continue to rock with me on the journey. Before we get started with this week's episode, you guys know I'm pretty standard. I love to set the foundation. So I want to make sure that we set the time and the foundation right by letting you know what this house, this safe space that we're building is created on. And it is created on two really important things for me, and that is clarity and love. Clarity, it's pretty straightforward. I just want to make sure you understand why you're here. The Well Done Life podcast is a podcast that I created for women. I feel like as women, we need spaces where we can share and learn and grow. But there are so many conversations that should be had, so many opportunities for us to break down barriers together as women. We are the foundations of society. So we have to have places where we can be our most vulnerable and where we can really pour into each other. So that's what this space is all about. So now that we kind of understand what clarity is, I want to make sure that we also talk about my second thing, which is love. And love is actually my favorite thing. Everything that we will do in this space is going to be rooted in love. And love is the thing. So I want to make sure that I am sending you love every week by sending you prayers. This week, I definitely want to send you prayers of strength. I want to send you prayers of self. I want you to know who you are. Know the strength that you possess as a woman. Don't be afraid to lean into who you are. I can promise you the people that are supposed to be around you will be attracted to that energy and they will naturally flock to you. So stand in yourself, stand in your truth. I also want to send you prayers of health, mental and physical. It's still kind of crazy out here and a lot of stressing things going on. So please make sure that you are pouring into yourself. Make sure you are giving yourself your flowers for all the things that you've accomplished. It's tough out here. If you have gotten this far, honey, you are doing so good. So good. Give yourself all the credit for getting there. I also want to make sure that I am sending you prayers of love. And I want you to feel love from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. You are an amazing woman and you deserve people who love you and pour into you the same way that you love and pour into other people. So I hope that you have that type of love this week. And I also want to send you prayers of knowledge, of who you are in the sense that you can accomplish anything. I want you to believe in yourself so powerfully. I saw a meme and I had to put it in my Instagram stories about how, I am that girl, that if there's anything that I set my mind on, I can accomplish that. And that was actually like a personal meme for me because my father used to tell me that every day when I was growing up. And he would definitely lean into that when I was doing things that he felt weren't kind of aligned to who I was as a person or not striving strong enough. I want you to know that you have that same power. I want you to believe in who you are and what you are capable of, because this world is changing, but nothing is impossible. If you dream it, you can have it. It's just about being consistent and having the consistent thought to know that you are capable of doing all things. So I am sending those prayers to you. So hopefully you feel loved and supported, because this is truly coming from my heart and I am truly believing great things for you. I am very excited to be recording with you guys on Tuesday, March 8th at 8:59 p.m. It has been quite a day. I have been up since the crack of dawn and I have not stopped yet. But this is one of my favorite things to do, and I wanted to make sure that I stay consistent. So I really hope that you have been having a great day. It is International Women's Day today. So to all the women out there, I am sending you love, prayers, hope, laughter. I am so inspired by who you are. And I hope that you are allowing your light to shine and inspiring other women, because we need those lights in the world. So yeah, it has just been quite a day. But this is, like I said, definitely one of the things that I am so grateful to be doing. It's so funny whenever I say episode 101. It just sounds crazy to me because we just celebrated episode 100. And I really want to thank everyone for the feedback and support that they gave on episode 100, Limitless, with Ms. Tennille Martinez. Tennille was an amazing guest. She is an amazing person. I just feel so blessed that she was able to come on. And it's just amazing how that aligned, because being limitless is kind of what helped get me to episode 100, because I finally took the limits off, kind of like what I was talking about. I was going to give a 5-pack out there and kind of run back and hope that everybody liked it. If you didn't, hey, I wouldn't feel too bad. But then to be here at 100 just blows my mind. And I'm just so grateful to everyone for the support and the continued feedback, because it just helps me grow. And then having Tennille on to talk about her limitless journey, where she climbed a mountain, for God's sakes, baby. You climbed Stone Mountain in Atlanta, Georgia. You're an amazing woman. And at the same time, she's taking the limits off of herself and allowing herself to expand with TBA, which is the Book Advantage, her upcoming podcast, which I will definitely make sure that I share information about and support. So our discussion to me it was kind of like two girlfriends getting together and realizing that we have so many things in common that we didn't, because we totally fangirl bonded on our love of Sweet Valley High growing up, our love of books, and just the same commonality of realizing that we are at a point in our lives where it's time to be limitless. And so I really was very excited about having her for that episode, and episode 100, because for the month of March, and we've been on this kind of a theme going on, and I love it. This month of March is about checking in. It's about looking at where we are with our goal alignments and seeing, what successes we want to celebrate and what things that we want to kind of recalibrate from. Because, we all can sit up here and act like life is just so perfect on the social medias and stuff like that. But life isn't perfect. There's a lot going on, and a lot of us have things in our lives. My life's not perfect. Believe me, I have things going on, but we work through them. And so this is that time where I was like, well, let's sit up and talk about content as it relates to that point, because many of us have put the vision board together, written the dream out, made a plan, set the intention. We're doing all the things to try to make sure that we are aligned. But rather than wait a year to see where we are, let's look at it on a quarterly basis, kind of like what you would do on your job. And I know for myself, maybe being selfish to say this is easier for me because I don't have the mindset right now to look at things for a whole year. I've got to look at them in small bites and doses. So a quarter gives me an opportunity to make sure that I stay more dialed in this year to my intentions, because that's how I set my goals. As I've kind of told you guys in previous episodes, I focused on things that I was leaving behind in 2021 and things that I left behind in my in 48, now that I've transitioned into 49. So I look at how I set my daily intentions, and in my daily intentions, when I am setting that, as I journal at night, I look at what I've learned about myself today. And as I've been journaling, I've noticed a common theme, and I wanted to talk about it because I kind of feel like there's some other people who are at the same point that I am at. The common theme that I have noticed as I have journaled from the things that I have learned day by day, as I have set my intentions and move forward, is I have learned that this year I've decided to run. And I know when you hear that, you might be thinking, okay, she's decided to run, because normally when we think of running, we normally just want to run away from our problems. We want to run away from the things that stresses us. But you see, I've kind of taken it in a new direction this year. When I say that this is the year that I have decided to run, what that means is I have decided to run toward my goals. I've decided that this is the year where it's either now or never. Because why not? And I know that probably sounds so simple, but it really is that simple. I've decided to run toward my goals, because if I don't run now, when am I going to do it? And why wouldn't I do it? And I wanted to talk about that because it's taken a lot for me to get to that point. And I think about it for the 49 years that I have been on this earth, as I've always set myself toward a goal. Whenever I thought about running, I always think of running in the negative connotation where I'm trying to avoid. And don't get me wrong, I have done that for a long time because like kind of even with this podcast, as you guys have known, this was 10 years in the making. Really, it took me 10 years to get to this point where I could sit down and have conversation and be honest about my journey. Yes, I've always been on the journey. Yes, I was reading the books, writing the dream and making it plain. But it took me this long to really get to the point where I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for it. I'm really going to take that chance. And, for those of you that may be new, like I said, this has been a 10-year journey for me to get started. I started and stopped in so many ways because of imposter syndrome. And I wasn't clear about what I really wanted. I just wanted something. And I think that was born out of my grief at the time of, mourning my dad and trying to process how I was going to have this brand new life as a caregiver. And I wasn't allowing the true fruit of who I was to come forth. So it has been, like I said, 10 years in the making. And then luckily, right before the pandemic, one of my closest friends challenged me to just start. She made it seem so simple, like just start. She was starting a podcast at the same time. And she was like, let's just start. Let's just start together. And something clicked in me in that moment. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do it. And so I rolled out a quick 5-pack and let it go live. And here we are, over 100 episodes later. But it is just now that I have decided to really run toward it. Because you see, when I started the podcast, when I have started this journey, I've always been very intentional about my goals. And like I said, I've written it out. I've had the vision boards. I've done all of those things. But if I look at it, I still had limits on what I was doing in order to run toward my goal. And when I say limits, that means it's just me. It's just my little mindset. There's nothing else about it. It wasn't like there was anybody holding me back from being able to achieve it. It was just me holding me back. It was my fear holding me back. It was my negative self-talk holding me back. It was all of these things inside of me that was preventing me from being able to move forward. Like I said, I've talked about it before. My friends were reasonably supportive, even though they didn't probably have a clear understanding of the vision. But it was always me. And I think that when we're sitting here and we are looking at our goals, tying it back to what we're talking about now, checking in and looking at our goals quarter by quarter, we have to ask ourselves, what are we doing that's holding ourselves back? Are we afraid? Are we allowing fear to talk us into, okay, well, you've achieved this level, you should be good with it? Are we allowing our negative self-talk to make us feel like when we make a mistake, oh, well, you're always going to be off course. You're never going to get it right. You're not ready for it right now. God doesn't want you to do this right now. And that's why you need to put it on a shelf. Because you see, a lot of people, I think, sometimes use timing and religion to allow negative self-talk to hold them back. Because I've heard that, well, God doesn't want me to have this right now. That's why it didn't work out. Is that really God? Or is that really you? Because God's timing is different than anything that we've seen. I mean, I'm a witness. His timing is definitely a lot different than what I want. I want it right now. But the Lord is like, no, I'm going to wait. I'm going to let you wait for these 2 or 3 years. All right. Or is it because we're not willing to take the step because we're afraid that if we keep pushing the limit, if we keep pushing ourselves, that we're going to fail altogether, and we just blame it on, well, it's just not my time. Because you see, timing is different. When it is your time, I will say this just from my own experience with God's timing and the universe. When it's for you, it's for you. It comes through all the challenges Because see, the challenges are always going to be there. You're always going to be tested. You're always going to have things come up. It's just a matter of, are you willing to fold, or are you at that point where you know that God is truly with you? You know that this is the appointed hour and time for you to achieve the goal that you are trying to achieve, and you push through it. And when you push through it, that's when you know. And it just all works out. All the X's, boxes, dots get dotted, checked, everything. That's when you know God is with you, that it's your time, because it all flows together. But when you allow self to come into your mindset and think, oh no, well, it's not my time, I can't do it. You don't push it. Is that really God, or is that really you? Because remember, God is always going to come through. He always comes through. When you make the decision to say, you know what, no, that's not God, that's you. And I like to make sure that I offer that clarity and context, because there are many people, myself included, I have done it to myself numerous times. I think I've even talked about it on this podcast, where when I was first buying my house, in the many years that it took me to get together, there were a few years where, I was like, oh, the Lord doesn't want it to be, it's not my time. It wasn't that. I just was afraid to push through the challenges that were coming up. So I sat myself down and I let the Lord take the credit for that, when in actuality it was me. But when I finally did buy the house that I am in right now, let me be very clear and specific, I had tons of challenges. I even remember saying in a previous episode, I asked the mortgage person at one point, do you want like my firstborn child? What do you want from me? Because I felt like they had asked for everything. But I kept pushing through. That was the difference, because I knew that this was my time. I knew it was for me. I knew God was with me, and that whatever challenges that were going to come up, I was going to overcome them, because it was my time. And see, that's where, when you have decided to run, kind of going back to our episode today, when you've made a decision to run, that's when you know God is with you. And that's where I am. I know that he's with me. Because like I said, challenges definitely arise. But I've made the decision this year that it's time to bet on me and to bet on God, and to make sure that we are in alignment, constant communication. Prayers are definitely going up on a daily basis. And I have decided to run. I've decided this year that I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to do the events that I want to do. I'm going to post. I'm going to market myself. I'm going to stand in all of the things that I have the ability to accomplish and feel proud of those accomplishments. See, that's why I said I'm ready to run. Because for a long time, I wasn't willing to do that. I always was comfortable being behind the scenes. It's many, many years I have had conversations with people where I say, I want to be the light. I want to be the light. I want to stop hiding. I did. I even remember a few years ago, I cut all my hair off. I did. I guess I was ready to change the world, because they say when women cut our hair, we are out here to change the world. I was ready for something new, to take the limits off. So for a few years, I did. I had a really low haircut. I loved it. And one of the goals that I did with that, just kind of off of it a little bit, was I said to myself that I wanted to spend a year where I could walk out in the rain and get wet and not even care. Like, I wanted to be free to do what I needed to do. And I'll be honest, I felt my most attractive when I had that haircut too. I just felt beautiful because I couldn't hide. And so in my mindset, I was taking the limits off. But all it really was I was only taking the limit off part way. I wasn't 100% running, but I had put on my track shoes. And at that point, I was like living a lot more fully. I was traveling. I was doing all the things, but I still hadn't addressed completely taking the limits off. And so this time now, at 9:15 on March 8th, 2022, I can honestly clearly say that I am at that point where I'm taking the limits off, and I am ready to run. I have decided to run. I have decided that I will no longer accept things that are beneath me in any level. I'm talking professionally, I'm talking personally. I have made a conscious effort to make sure that my energy is clear. I've dealt with me, sat myself down and had the conversations and done the hard work so that I can make sure that my negative self-talk doesn't distract me from getting my next level. I am bettering myself professionally. I'm doing a Google data analytics certification. I think I told you guys that I made the commitment to myself because I wanted to continue to expand my knowledge. I'm doing that. I'm totally funding it out of my pocket, and I am doing that for my elevation, my next level, because I'm already planning my next level. And from a personal standpoint, I am making it more of an effort this year to be more open with my friends, to make sure that I let them know how much I value and appreciate them, because I've learned that life is super short. I think we've all learned that. I'll be honest, after 2 years in a pandemic, and we're still kind of in that, but we're just kind of all acting like we're not. I have learned that, you have to give people their flowers while they're here. You have to love on people and show them who you are while they're here. And you have to trust that you have the right people around you, because I think sometimes we all get so caught up in the hater conversations and the fears that we might have the wrong people around us that we forget to take the limits off, to run toward people who may be the light, always afraid, instead of being afraid that people are the dark. You got to use that discernment. So I've taken the limits off of that. I'm open, and I know that I have the discernment to know who I should be open with and who I shouldn't. And I don't worry about being caught off guard. I don't worry about that, because I know my energy is not for everybody. And I naturally am a block. So if you're supposed to be in my space, you'll be there. If not, you'll fall away. And I don't have to worry about that. I don't spend my time concerned about that. And then also, I'm taking the limits off in regards to my health and my happiness. Meaning, yes, I do take a very concerted effort to make sure that I am good mentally and physically, because I am getting older. I mean, I'm 49. At this point, it's not perfect. Don't get me wrong. I had ice cream for dinner tonight, y'all, and I'm very happy. But that was the only thing I ate tonight. I balanced it out. It's all about balance. And I don't do that every day. But I treat myself, but with balance. And I don't guilt myself for the decisions that I'm making. I'm not doing that. And I'm going to check in. I'm checking in with myself mentally, because I can tell when I need a break, just like I'm sure you can tell when you need a break. So I'm giving myself the permission. So I've decided to run toward me. And I'm also learning how to run toward me when I talk about negative self-talk, how to talk to myself in a positive standpoint, where meaning I am taking the limits off, where I sit and talk to myself to make sure that the same love that I give out, I give back into me. Because like I said, it's not perfect, y'all. It's not. My life is not perfect by any means, but I'm blessed and highly favored. And I'm very grateful, because all of the challenges that I have, and I'm doing the air quotes and y'all can't see me, all of the challenges have prepared me for this moment where I have decided to run. And I've decided to run knowing that, yes, I have my mom at home. I have my sister at home. I have a job. I have this podcast. I have all these obligations. But all of these things are extensions of my heart. And I know that my heart is full enough that I can handle them and take care of me. And so I have decided to run toward me. And I think a lot more of us as women, we need to run toward ourselves. We need to run toward us and tap back into the women that we are, the women that we want to be. Because you can achieve all the professional goals. You can travel all through the world. But if you have not tapped into you, your greatest resource, your biggest life love, then you will never truly be happy. And we have to be able to take the limits off where it comes to us. And so I'm taking the limits off. I've decided to run, y'all, because I can really tell you, as I was approaching 49 this year, the conversations that I was having with myself were like, okay, well, I can either do this now, or I can wait 5 or 10 more years. And what does that look like? So I'm about to be 48. So I don't plan. So what? I'm going to wait till I'm 58 to get the pay that I deserve, to have the positions that I deserve, to travel, to see the places that I want to see, to have the love that I want to love. And it doesn't sound sexy. I'm going to be quite honest. It doesn't. Not that 58 is old. It's not. But at 58, I want to be enjoying all of those things and more. I don't want to be worrying about how to get it. And so, like I talked about previously in another episode, it's like, why not now? If we don't do it now, then when are we going to do it? If you're younger than me, God bless. That means you have a couple more years, more time to think about it. But even if you're 23, so at 33, you just want to be getting it together? And then, or let's just say you're 33. So at 43, you just want to be getting it together? Life comes in many different cycles and patterns. And I can tell you, as you continue to age, you are going to have more challenges that can come up and distract you, more challenges that can come in and sit you down before you're able to achieve those goals. So that's why I feel like many of us have to adopt a spirit where we have decided, you know what? I'm going to run now. And if I run right now, that's not a bad thing. Because why not? I really do. I feel like we all need to have that. So that's what I've learned. And going through this first quarter, I have decided to run. I see the theme every time when I'm talking to myself as I'm journaling at night, because one of the questions that I ask myself in my journal is, what did I learn today about myself? And I totally see this theme through all the first half of this year, where every day it's like I'm constantly saying, well, I learned that I need to rest. I learned that I need to make more money. I learned that I need to learn new skills. I learned that, right? Like I am constantly seeing an example where I have decided that I want to do more. And so with this theme, I have decided to run, and I'm not looking back, y'all. And when I say that I've decided to run too, I mean, I know, guys, I'm trying to hype you up and make you want to run. Don't think that I don't know it's scary. I know running is very scary. Because running does, like we kind of talked about earlier, running has that connotation like you're avoiding, you're trying to get away from. But when you're running toward yourself, that is so scary. When you are running toward your goals and your dreams, it's frightening because you don't know what's on the other side of that. All you know is what you are putting in, the energy and the effort. And you're afraid of, okay, am I really going to get the payback back? But I really feel like it's okay to know that. It's okay to know that you're going to be afraid. But these are the moments where we have to lean into talking to ourselves in regards to talking over our fears. And see, I know y'all thought she's going, okay, talking to yourself. I'm not crazy. I'm not, but I do talk to myself. But I always like to tell people, I read somewhere, being able to talk to yourself is a sign of super intelligence. So one, don't let anybody make you feel that you're crazy. But I'm not saying you have to literally talk to yourself, but in a way you do. You have to literally be able to talk to your fear. And I know I've referenced this book to death, but I cannot stress how impactful it is enough. At least this section of it too. And I mean, overall, it's an amazing book, but Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. And in that section where I have talked to where Elizabeth Gilbert was talking to her fears, and she literally acknowledged her fear, but she told her fear that, you're in this car with me, you're on this journey with me, but you're not driving this bus. You're not driving this car. I drive the car. I acknowledge you. I respect you, but I'm in control. And she keeps going. It's the same situation. It's just really all about how you decide that you are going to talk to your fears. But I can tell you for myself, I literally will stop myself when I'm here. Luckily, I guess, because I work from home, I can literally just stop myself when I see my fears coming up, when I hear it, and be like, you know what, Pam, no. You don't have anything to be afraid of. You've got this. You can accomplish this goal. You can deal with this situation. And I will stop myself mid-track. And if I'm around people, if I really need to speak over myself, I will step out of the room and pray over myself, because I need that to help me calm down, to help me stay focused. You have to have that same type of passion and zeal about speaking to your fear, about speaking over yourself, because you need to be able to recognize your triggers, because you're going to be triggered. I mean, we've kind of already talked about this. I mean, being on this journey where we are all out here trying to achieve our goals, to be limitless, to take the wheels off, to run toward our journey, does not mean that challenges are not going to come up. They're going to come up even more so because you are trying to do something that is aligned to your purpose. There's always going to be something thrown at you, but you have made the conscious decision to realize that you can still keep going in spite of those challenges. So you have to be able to speak to yourself. So that is one thing that I do. So like for myself, when I'm speaking over myself, I will stop mid-sentence. I will stop and get it through. I don't do it in meetings, so don't get concerned if you work with me. I do not. I will do it after the meeting if I need to. I just be able to calm myself enough. But I'm not afraid to do it. I don't have a concern about it, because I know that my energy, my thought, my mindset is paramount to me being able to move forward. So I have to stay on top of me so that I can stay in control. So I'm not afraid to talk to my fears. And I would recommend that we all learn how to develop a mantra or some like a refrain, even if it's a Bible verse. I like for myself every day when I'm taking my sister to work, she and I actually pray in the car when I'm driving her to work. And so one of the prayers that we say is the 37th Psalm. And because the 37th Psalm is about the enemies coming to you, it is a prayer of protection, and it definitely gives me peace when I say it, because it makes me realize that I'm going to be okay. So that is our routine. So that's one of the things that we do to start our morning. And then at night when I am journaling, because I love everybody who has these morning journal routines. I don't. I'm one of those kind of people like, look, I'm just trying to get out of bed in the morning. But in the evening time, I'm your girl. I'm a night owl. And so I will have all my mantras. That's when I read through my daily intentions. I see what everything aligns. I go through. But at night when I'm laying down in bed, before I go to sleep, I pray. And I thank God for the day. And I go through, to make sure that I talk to God in regards to the things that I need to let go of. And I look for lessons and learn in those moments. So it's just, that's my routine, but I would totally recommend that you develop something, because I know as I have made this decision to run toward my goals, I'm opening myself up to more challenges. I'm opening myself up to many things. So I need to make sure that I am guarded, that my spirit is guarded, my hedge of protection is around me so that I can stay focused, because things are going to come up. And as things come up, because they have, I've just used that and leaned into it with the understanding that I'm not alone. And that's what I want you to recognize, that when you have made this decision to run, there's nothing for you to, there is room for you to be afraid, and there is room for you to acknowledge your fears, but just know that you are not alone. And that knowledge can help push you through, especially when you're feeling down, because you feel down. Like I told y'all today, I had ice cream for dinner. I was down. It was one of those days. I just felt like everything was coming at me. And as I was sitting here and getting ready to sit down and pod tonight, I was thinking to myself, as I'm changing and getting ready, I achieved everything that I wanted to accomplish on my list. Even though it felt like I went through like a ditch and a trench to get to it, I still got everything done. And I didn't run from it. I just kind of leaned into everything that needed to get done. And I think as you lean into it, as you've made that decision to, run towards your goals, you will find more days than not that the things that you thought you were not going to be able to accomplish, you will accomplish, because it just becomes ingrained in part of you. And as your routine and your protection is around you, it will buffer the madness and help you still achieve your goals. And that's where I think that we all need to kind of look at how do we incorporate things in our lives to be those buffers? How do we create those moments where we can have those pockets of peace where we can still, speak over ourselves and give ourselves the flowers, boost ourselves back up, but at the same time, you're still making moves and getting things done. Because like I said, we're going into another season, another quarter. And so we have this opportunity in front of us with this first quarter to really step back and look at the trends, look at the things that we have accomplished and be so grateful, because God knows I'm grateful. Y'all, in the first quarter of 2022, I have reached 100 podcasts with you. And that was something that I just couldn't imagine. Because not too long ago, it was like, oh, I've lost count. I hope I don't miss 100. That was what I was saying to myself as I was podcasting. And then just to feel like, wow, okay, now I passed 100. I'm here at 101. And I'm already thinking, okay, wow, when am I going to hit 120? And just keep going. It's a matter of, I've just surrendered. I've decided to run. And it's not easy because, like I said, I'm here podcasting at night after a hard day. I put what happened earlier to the side. I put it all away, got everything done, and I'm here, y'all. And it wouldn't have mattered because this is what I want to do. This is what it is. So I'm leaning into it. I've decided to run. So I'm running to you guys because this is the place where I feel fulfilled, where I feel renewed and happy, and I'm grateful. And I want you guys to find places that make you feel fulfilled and renewed and happy, because you need that as you're running along the journey. And I can always kind of give you more metaphors, but you kind of have to treat this like you're training for a half marathon or a marathon. Yeah, this is a little bit deeper, I'll be honest, than a 5K or a 10K. And I'm saying that from experience, not to diminish those training moments, because I remember many a days when I would have to be on the trail running miles or walking miles to get my endurance up. But this is about that marathon. And the reason that I equate being able to run to that and running toward your goals is because there comes a point in the marathon or the half marathon when you are about to break. Everybody's breaking point is very different too. For a I've run both. I've run a half marathon. I've tried to run a marathon. The half marathon, I have to admit, I think my breaking point always, I'm trying to remember because it's been a while since I've run, has been about mile, I'm going to say about mile 8. And I probably am being generous, probably more like 7 or 6. But 8, I'm just like, you have that break. And I remember one time I did try to train for a marathon, a full 26. And my breaking point came at mile 17. And my breaking point at mile 17 was a straight flip out. That poor woman that I was training with, she stopped right there and looked at me, was like, are you okay? Because I was hopping mad, y'all. I was like, I'm looking down the street. I'm like, shoot, I'm probably like a mile, 2 miles from my house. And I had been out running all morning at dark 30, like literally dark 30. Like we would train at like 5:30 in the morning. And I had a flip out and I broke. And I was so far gone. I could not self-soothe myself. Like I had totally lost it. And looking back on that, I wish that I had the mindset that I had now then, because I would have been able to speak over myself a lot stronger and a lot clearer to let me know that I was going to be okay. And I want you to speak over yourself, to let yourself know that it's going to be okay. Because when you make the decision to run, there's always going to be a breaking point. There is always going to be that point where you're just going to have that flip out. You're not going to be able to handle it. You're going to be like, I'm through with this. I need to just get out of this shit. I just can't. I can't do it. I can't do it. It's not my time. You're going to do all the negative things, all the negative self-talk. I want you to recognize you can still do it. And you're still not alone in that moment. Because a lot of times when we flip out and we forget and we just cuss out and just go nuts, you forget that you weren't alone. See, I did. At mile 17, I forgot I was alone. I was still with somebody, but in my mind, you weren't with me. She's out there doing her thing. I literally was in my mind on my own. It's like my mind had just totally taken me some other place. And I lost sight of the goal. The goal was to train. The goal was to strengthen myself. The goal was to build. The goal was to finish. It didn't matter how long it took me. It was to finish. And I gave up versus taking a beat and recognizing that I'm not alone and I can still run. I can still make it. I can still do it. It's my time. It's my season. No matter how long it takes, I'm not on the clock. This is my journey. That same philosophy has to apply to your goals. That same philosophy has to apply to your vision of how you're going to accomplish these things, because there is going to come that breaking point, and you have to decide at that breaking point, you have to be willing to stand in that breaking point moment. Speak over yourself. Pray over yourself, talk to yourself, calm yourself down, refocus, and get back in the fight, because you know you're not alone. God, the ancestors, whoever you pray to is always there with you. And why not? Why not run now? What are you waiting for? What are you expecting to change? Why not? So that's why I've decided to run. Because if not now, when? And why not? So that is episode 101. So yes, I hope that you guys enjoyed this week's episode. This is, like I said, our month of March, where we are talking about checking in and recalibrating, making sure that we are ready on alignment with our goals. I will definitely be back next week with a new episode as we wind our way into April and start to kind of lay the foundations also for what April content will be. I am really looking forward to continuing to be consistent. And the only thing that I would ask is if you could please provide any feedback you can on the sound, on the content, anything that you want to see, because your feedback helps me get better. Y'all, I'm 101 episodes in now. I definitely want to continue to improve and get better and offer value, because this is a part of me. This is a labor of love. And I truly can tell you that it inspires me when I hear feedback of somebody being motivated and encouraged by this podcast. Because like I said, this is so important for me that we create these spaces. So I am just so grateful for your support and your encouragement. And I welcome and invite your feedback. Just keep it positive if you don't mind. This is a safe, loving space as we are building in the air park quotes. And a plus, I don't want to have to unnecessarily send you to a block party because my block game is strong. But anywho, I really do appreciate and value your support and encouragement. So I look forward to our next episode. I will make sure I have all of my information in the show notes. Please like, share, and subscribe. I definitely will be getting back into video. If you haven't had a chance to check out episode 100, I did have video, y'all. Yes, and I will have video going forward. It's funny, I'm actually recording tonight on a new platform. Just want to test it out and see how I like it, because it does have video integration. So hopefully it'll be something that I can kind of work with. So we'll see for the future. But I definitely want to continue to expand. So if there's different things and suggestions that you have, please don't hesitate to drop them. Send me a note at the welldonelife@gmail.com. Sorry, I can't believe I forgot my emails. Or hit me up on the socials. You can find me on Instagram at the Well Done Life Podcast or at Pamela L. Davis on IG. So I definitely welcome your feedback, and I look forward to talking to you guys soon. I hope you have an amazing rest of the weekend. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll talk soon. Alrighty then. Bye-bye.